everyone, and welcome to another episode of Connections. Today, I am very excited about our guest. We'll be interviewing none other than the wonderful Lisa Kelly.
Hi, Lisa.
Hi, how are you?
So good. Right before we started, I was mentioning the snow here, and you said it's lovely by you, though.
It's lovely. Yes, I even have the blinds closed because there'd be too much sun coming in.
Fabulous. I wish we had that weather.
I know. We're very lucky this way.
So what I'd like to do is kind of go back at where your career started, because it seems like you came from a very musical family.
I did. Yeah. Music was just really a part of our household growing up. I grew up in Dublin in Ireland, and my parents were both like really involved with amateur musical societies growing up. So like our house wasn't filled with, traditional music, but there was a lot of musical theatre that kind of went on in the house. And my parents loved Gilbert and Sullivan, and my granddad was an actor, and it was just something that was always huge in our house. And my first memories are listening to the record player, listening to the Carpenters and the Beatles. So it just seemed like second nature. I just assumed everybody was the same. And it wasn't until, well, I think in Ireland, though, quite a lot of people are like that. We all kind of grew up in very musical households. It's a huge part of our culture and who we are as people. So, it's in your blood, and I didn't realize it was that different in any other household.
Now, do you have siblings that sing also? Because I think you had a sister in Celtic Woman, or?
I did, yeah. My sister Helen toured with Celtic Woman for about 4 years, so she sings, and I have another sister who's a singer too, but she never went about singing professionally. She got involved in movies, and she spent a lot of time in production of films. So yeah, it was kind of the same realm, really, because we all know the same people now, which is kind of crazy.
So I think I read your first show was like 7. So how did you decide to take it from being this lovely thing you did at home, and then you were just going to be in shows like your parents?
I don't actually think it was a lovely thing. I didn't help. I think that when I was a child, I was quite prepared to sing for anybody who would listen. It's funny how you change as you grow, how things become so different. But I sang for everybody and anywhere I could. So I sang in school, and we did school plays. I remember doing The Wizard of Oz and Hansel and Gretel, and I was the lead in those. And then when I was about 7, I was asked to audition for a kids production of Bugsy Malone, which I did. And then I was just bitten by the bug. Then it was different. Then it was like on a proper stage and proper theatre. And then that was all we did growing up. I wasn't really into sport or anything. So we used to go to drama classes, and we used to go to piano. And eventually I begged my parents for singing lessons, and I went when I was about 9. And that led into doing amateur dramatic, it was like community theatre that you guys have. So that's what I spent my life doing. I spent my life doing community theatre. And every year that I was in it, I started at the very bottom of everything, not getting the lead in anything unless it was a school production. And then in school, when I went to high school, I was introduced to singing with the local orchestra. So my greatest day was when they paid for somebody to come in and sing On My Own from Les Mis.
Oh, wow.
And she was sick for the rehearsal. And I remember the music teacher going, "Do you know this?" And I was like, "Do I what?" I've been waiting for this moment. So that was my first time actually singing with an orchestra in school. And I'll never forget that feeling. It was just the greatest feeling in the world. Like you go from, singing with the piano or a small band maybe, and then just sing with an orchestra. So I knew there and then I really wanted to do this as in my life. I didn't ever think I would be lucky enough to get the opportunity, because there's so many talented people where I was, and it's such a small country, and there's so very few jobs and so very few opportunities. I really, really didn't think I would be that lucky, but it was right place, right time.
So did you also studied classically, and you did a bit of opera, right? Did you do that first and then you went to computers, or was it?
Oh yeah. Computer thing was, yeah. Yes, you could only, when I was growing up, you could only train classically.
Okay.
So all our teachers were classical teachers, and I studied with an incredible man. His name was Dal McNulty, and Paul Byram, and I think Lynn Hillary might have studied with him too. But in South Dublin, where I was from, he was the go-to. He was who you went to learn how to sing and everything. I never did anything other than classic. Here, I have my book actually right beside me in the studio. This was my Bible growing up with him. 26 classical songs by various composers. And we just did that. And we did competitions. We did, like, they're called feshes, which Irish dance community do. But in Ireland, we did them. We did singing feshes too. And that was all I did, all I studied. And I didn't ever I found one teacher eventually that did a little bit more musical theatre and pop sound. But classical really was where it was. And it was my basis and my technique. And I still, to this day, if you ask me what I'm most comfortable singing, I'm most comfortable singing classical. I never got a chance to really do it, even in Celtic Woman. But it really is where I'm most comfortable. It's where I fall back all the time. And I know it's the funniest thing, because even if I'm sick or I don't feel great, sing Ave Maria, no problem. It's just the way you're taught. So even now when I teach, that's the route I go. That's why it's beside my piano.
No, I love that. And I agree too. I think, like, I taught for like about 2 years, and you can do the other stuff, like with the kids, the pop and all that. And then when you just want to get your voice kind of back where it should be, do it.
Oh no, it's so important. I do it all the time. And obviously, especially with kids these days, trying to keep their interest, you have to do other things. You just have to. But I've yet to meet a kid or an adult that doesn't like doing the classical stuff, which I think is fabulous. It's so good. It's so good for you. It's just like playing the piano. Your hands have to be in the right positions, and it's great to play by ear. And but you soon trip over your fingers if you don't know where your fingers are supposed to be. And it's the exact same with singing.
Now, did you have like a favorite? You mentioned Ave Maria, but maybe an opera aria or something that you worked on?
Oh no, I did not. I did opera once. Oh my goodness,
that was not for you. Okay,
where I had to sing it once. Oh my goodness, I have never been so scared in all my life. As I got older, my singing teacher was an opera singer. She was an opera singer. So she was brilliant. She was excellent. She used to get you to do, we did, I'm trying to think of one now, but all the kind of standard opera ones I did in class. And then one day she was like, we're going to do a little concert, will you sing it? And I was, yeah, okay. Oh my gosh, I was terrified, because I'm never doing that again. And there's a big difference between classical and opera. It's huge. So it just wasn't for me. I wasn't very good at it.
I feel it's definitely a different vehicle, and you feel very different when you're on stage. Yeah.
Oh, you absolutely do, because it's way more musical theater in its approach than classical is. I often feel, classical music is really just, for me, is about the beautiful sound and creating those sounds with your body. But like opera is that extra step further. It's like, create those sounds, but you know what? Act like you're in a musical as well. I'm like, there's just too much.
So what was kind of your first, I guess, professional, more Broadway role? Because you did Maria, you did, I think it was Chicago. You did several shows.
I did loads. I did Chicago. I did Chess, Oklahoma. Oklahoma was probably my first real. That wasn't, maybe Chess was. They were again, in Ireland, kind of growing up, we didn't have so much professional theatre. It was just the levels of community theatre were higher. Yeah. So Riverdance really was my first professional touring kind of gig, along with, I did quite a few concerts in Ireland that were like professional concerts and stuff. But as far as touring big shows, Riverdance was it. But in Ireland, I did Oklahoma, which I loved. It was a great thing. I did Chess, which is my favorite all-time show. I loved every minute of it. Fiddler on the Roof. Chicago, which was amazing because the choreographer was convinced I'd never be able to dance it. So that was a challenge. So there was so many things. I got such wonderful chances and opportunities to do stuff, but Riverdance really was the first full-time paying gig that I gave up work for. The rest I continued to do both. I continued to moonlight in my computer career and take to the stage at night.
So were you like a proper IT then? Because my husband's in IT. No. No. Okay.
No. Again, like I'm literally the luckiest, well, maybe the cheekiest of all. I was actually working in a computer company, and it was just in 1999. So the whole crash of the computers they were all worried about for the year 2000. So I worked for this company that had come up with a computer package on how to backdate your computer. I don't even know what they did, but it was primarily we were an export-import documentation package solution. Okay. So I literally learned how to do the documents on the computer, and I went and taught people how to do it. I couldn't turn on a computer or turn off a computer, so it had to be set up for me. So I was called an applications consultant, so it's not very technical at all.
And then you went from that to what was the audition like for Riverdance? Because you said you didn't like really grow up so much with the traditional music as with Broadway. So what was that like?
And to be fair, the Anuna sound for Riverdance was very much classical. That was the way I took it. And I was doing a professional show in Dublin at the time, and the lady who ran Riverdance was in at the show and said, listen, we're looking for somebody. It was actually for Broadway. We were looking for somebody for Broadway to go and do the show there. And I went along and auditioned. And honestly, I was very, very tired. This show that I was doing was really hard. So I think I might have given a better audition than I probably would have if I had been on my game. I was just so tired the day I went in, even vocally tired, that I wasn't even nervous. I was like, okay, just go in and do it. And it fell out of my body and it sat really nicely. And then I ended up not doing the Broadway show because the Broadway show, I can't remember what happened, but anyway, I ended up doing the touring show, which is what I wanted to do. I really wanted to tour the States and it be around, and it really worked out well for me. I loved what I did. I was with the Lagan for nearly 4 years. So it was amazing. It was a great show.
And how is it like to grow in doing that part over 4 years, like from the start and, you know?
Well, I was actually lucky because the year I joined, they had changed music around. So they had done different things with the music that they hadn't done in a really long time. And because it had opened and closed in Broadway at the times I was there, they had introduced new songs, they'd taken out songs. So for me, it was a lovely thing. It's a really nice thing for a soprano. I often feel it was probably more suited to a boy soprano, but it's because they wanted that really pure sound. So I actually had to train myself to do it because I was so musical theatre focused at the time, and I didn't want that sound for it. While it had to be light, it had to be pure, which is very different to musical theatre. So it took a long time to kind of sit in my vocal cords and for me to go out and do it that way every single night. And some days are easier than others. Some days are very difficult. But that was great. And that really was the knock-on effect then for Celtic Woman, because I had taken time off from Riverdance. I was having my second child, and David was out, just happened to be out doing a flying squad gig. The two of us were down in San Diego doing a realtor show for Riverdance. And David was like, listen, I'm doing a little concert maybe in Ireland, and I'd already recorded an album with David myself. So he was like, we're doing a little show, would you be interested? I was like, yeah, I'm not going to be doing anything, I'll be at home, no problem. So I honestly agreed on the basis that it was one night.
That must have been quite the surprise then, because you said you had 2 kids then, and then it just boom.
Yeah, and I'd just had Jack, my second child. I just had him on August 12th. And we were recording Celtic Woman on September the 8th. Like, I think having your first child, everything was so easy after I had my first son, Cian, but I'd had a lot of trouble with Jack. I'd had a difficult delivery with him, and he was a difficult baby at the time. He was tongue-tied, and we didn't know that until he was about 6. So he wasn't a good eater. So everything with my second child was just so much harder. And I remember David calling me. I was also overdue on Jack, and I remember David calling me early in August going, have you not had that baby yet? I was like, what? So it was hard. So I really wasn't, again, maybe I'm just better when I'm not in the zone, but I really wasn't in the zone when we started this whole Celtic Woman process. And it was very, nobody really knew where this was going or what it was. I didn't know the girls. I hadn't met them, except for Chloe. I knew Chloe. But, you know, Chloe was a child to me. And so I knew her, but I didn't know the other girls. And everything was very quick. And it was PBS. So it was just all like, just get it done. And it was very overwhelming. So when the night ended, I was like, oh, grand, that's fine. So never did I think I would get a call to go and promote it in New York in the following March. So, but it was like honestly, the best time of my life. It was amazing.
So did you have like a little bit of break? Because you said next March is when you kind of promoted it. Were you able to kind of go back and think, all right, I got a little time, and then it just...
I mean, I didn't know about the promotion of it until February. I think it was February they might have called us, and they wanted us to go to New York to do the Today Show. So I was like, oh, this is great, because in all my time with Riverdance, I'd been all over the United States, but I'd never got to New York. So that was really exciting. So I was going for the New York part. I was like, do a little bit of singing on the Today Show, that'll be great. So yeah, and like literally we sang on the Today Show. I can't remember what day it was, whether it was a Tuesday or a Wednesday, but we sang on the Today Show, and then by Friday it was #1 on the world chart, and like everybody knew it. It was crazy. It was just, again, just right place, right time, good promotion. It was the era of Desperate Housewives was huge on TV at the time.
Yes.
So it was all very woman focused and women power and everything in the media. Like the Desperate Housewives brought with it the fact that everybody thought that, you know, the five of us must have killed each other. You know, silly things, silly.
Of course, they always think.
Oh yeah. But it was just really, really lucky. Just lucky. And hard work.
Yeah. I mean, when you see the touring dates you guys had, it's insane, because you mentioned opera earlier, class. They don't have that many concerts in a row.
No.
So
it was, I had said that it was like doing, I know musical theater does. So, you know, I went to see Hamilton when it was here, and I had happened to get tickets for a matinee, and I was like, oh my God, I couldn't believe that the actual leads were on in the matinee. It wasn't understudies anymore. And I think musical theatre has gone that way. I think your understudies really only go on if you're sick, and it's not a guaranteed, you know, matinee thing. So Celtic Woman was like doing a musical. It was a musical schedule, but like on a rock and roll schedule, which was kind of weird because you were one city every single night, as opposed to with Riverdance, we were in a city for a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, which was like being on holiday. So that was really hard to get used to. But with that being said, there was never a chance to get comfortable with the show. You were it was constantly new, which I liked. And you know, the weeks went very quickly because you were constantly on the go. And the only time it got really difficult was when you had to do, you know, promotions, to do promotion of the show at 5:20 in the morning, and you're up to, and obviously Patrick's Day, like everybody dreaded Patrick's week, because everybody wanted you, and you still had to do the shows at night, and you were like up doing, and not complaining because it was phenomenal, but you do the White House you do the morning show in New York in the morning, and then you go and you do the White House for lunch, and then you go back and do something else, and then you were doing a show that night. So things like that were difficult, just difficult. But again, you're on tour, your body copes, your body knows how to cope, and you just die when you come off tour and you spend the 3 weeks at your home really, really sick, and then your body knows it's go back on tour again, and it changes and it goes back.
So did your voice handle it pretty well? Because that's like a lot of work that you're putting in.
In the long term, no. I ended up having vocal surgery. But in the short term, yes. Yes, I never missed a show. I suffered badly with allergies when we would hit kind of Nashville. I since found out I have a dust allergy. So, you know, some theaters would be worse than others. And I'd be able to tell as soon as I walked in, you'd get that, oh no. And you get through the show, it wouldn't be great. You get through the show. and then you'd recover for a few days. So those kind of things were hard, but yeah, it did take its toll. It took its toll on my voice. Anyway, I'm not sure about the others, but I ended up with a polyp on my left vocal cord and a hemorrhage on my right, which the hemorrhage, as the doctor said to me at the time, the hemorrhage they expected to see, because when you're singing that much all the time, you will have hemorrhages. The polyp is more of a break. It's not a nodule. It's more of a break. And I think I know when I did it. I think I did it here in Georgia, and I was doing a concert, and I was really sick with allergies, and I just continued to sing on it, and I couldn't talk for 2 days afterwards. And I knew there was something wrong.
Yeah. And I think it's actually very normal to have these kinds of things. Like, you know, I've had my own, when I was teaching, I kept teaching on sick, and I had the same, like a little bleed on my cord or whatever. And I think nobody wants to talk about it now, because it's almost like it's taboo, but it's such a normal thing. Any other athlete, it would be a normal thing to get an injury.
It is. And I do feel that it was given bad kind of press, in that it was initially when people started coming out saying that they had nodules, people were like, oh yeah, bad technique.
Yeah.
Or you're not looking after your voice. And I know I felt like that. I was like, I know I do look after it. I also feel, and it was, I went to, after I had my vocal surgery, I was told there was a chance I wouldn't sing again. And I really had made my peace with that. I was like, you know, I genuinely, hand on my heart, I have fulfilled all my dreams singing wise. There's no, like, if anything that was handed to me now would be a gift, and I would have the option to turn it down. For boys, there's nothing I feel I've missed out on or wanted to do. So when I went in for this operation, I went in very pragmatic about it, going, look, all I wanted to do is to be able to teach, because I love teaching. So that was all I wanted to be able to do. And I knew I could do that even without my voice. I knew I could. So I went in, and when I went back for my checkup afterwards, they were delighted. They were like, listen, there's no damage. You did great. It's going to be fine. You'll be singing again in 6 months. And I wasn't singing again in 6 months. And I wasn't singing again in a year. And I wasn't singing again in 18 months. And I was like, okay, this isn't right. So I had booked a concert for the May, which would have been 2 and a bit years later. So in the January, I contacted, I can't remember the girl's name now, escaped me, but I'm on her, she's a vocal thing in Houston. And I contacted her to see if she would do online stuff. I'm sure she does now, but she wouldn't then. But it worked out fine. She put me in contact with an opera singer here, Eva Lucamon-Sullivan, and she's a voice therapist as well. And I was kind of like, I'm not going to, like, this is ridiculous. But she was fabulous. And I think a lot of it was mental with me. I had I didn't sound the way I used to sound. And that was frustrating for me. That was really frustrating for me. And she was like, yeah, but you know, maybe the way you sounded before wasn't the right way to sing either. And there's a lot of truth to that, because as a singer, you're singing every single night, and you are trying to get better every single night. So you push yourself more and more and more, and you don't realize that you can still hold back and sound great. So I think there was a lot of truth to what she said. And after about 6-7 sessions with her, I was fine. It's still not, I don't think, like it used to be at all. It's a lot harder work, but that could be just being old too.
Well, our voices change, and that's another thing. Like, as women, we don't really we hear the boys' voice change, but I don't know, mine changed a big way when I became a teenager, and like my teachers didn't know, so it was really frustrating.
So frustrating.
It's crazy. And then also as we get older, it changes.
Absolutely. But I say that to the girls that I teach at the moment, because I've about 100 students currently, and most of them are middle school, and between 11 and 15, their voices completely break. And it's not as obvious as men's, which is, you know, even more frustrating because you don't know why. And you're going, and the way I liken it is if they go back and listen to the videos of themselves when they're 7, and they have this high-pitched voice, and they're so used to being able to belt really loud in that high-pitched voice. And now all of a sudden their voices are like so much lower. They don't know anything about their break. They're getting frustrated because they can't belt their high notes. So with the result, we're getting these strained, like, you're going to crack any minute. sounds. So I actually do talk to the girls all the time,
Awesome.
going, no, we're not going to push. We're going to keep those head voices nice and light until we build them up and build up the muscles and learn how to sing. And it really is, it keeps it fresh for me because it's different sounds all the time that you're dealing with. But yeah, again, nobody ever told me about that either. Nobody.
It's like this mysterious thing that just
Crazy.
I could sing yesterday and now it's gone, but
yes, perfectly normal.
And all the experiences you've had, though, that must make you, like you mentioned with the girls, like such an amazing teacher. Like, you know, do you look out for certain things? I know my hair just went white, but
yeah, I mean, I don't think I'm an amazing teacher. I think teaching is exactly like singing. I don't think you're ever fully secure in what you do. And, you know, we are singers, so, you know, you never think it's never good enough in your own head. What I do feel is what you said, I have a lot of experience that I love to share. And as I said earlier, I have done everything I've wanted to do singing wise. So it's not about me. It's no longer about me. If an audition comes in, I'm not fighting my student because I would like that role. You know, so there's things like that I think go into teaching. I believe personally singing is about confidence. And I believe in nurturing that confidence for them all. And I love the challenge of somebody telling me that somebody has told them they can't sing, because genuinely, out of the thousands that I've seen and worked with, there have only been 2 that I literally couldn't do anything with. And one was way older and that would never wanted to be a singer. And the other one didn't really want to be a singer either. But that's 2 people, like 2. Everybody else can sing. I firmly believe it. I really do. You can sing. If you can hear well, you can sing. And then I've had people who are like 90% deaf and able to sing, which is phenomenal to me too. But yeah, I have to say, I love it. I love every minute of teaching. I love the way that it's a challenge because everybody's so different and it's not just one rule fits all, which is great.
Oh, absolutely. And I that's why, again, that's why you sound like a great teacher, because I've had both kinds. And, you know, there's some teachers that kind of want to fit you into, this is what I do with everybody, this is going to get, and the ability to adapt.
Yeah. And again, I like most of my classes, I do private classes, obviously, but most of my classes are small group classes. And I think this comes from the Celtic Woman thing. I was so mad when we would do interviews and people would say, you must hate each other. Mm-hmm. And for me, the beauty of Celtic Woman was that we didn't, firstly. Like, we were colleagues, first and foremost, friends as well, but colleagues. We were colleagues. But we all had something very different to bring to the show. And I think that it was the first time in my life that I understood we could all be different. And we could all be great together, and we could understand why one was picked over the other to do something different, to do this or to do that. And you don't understand that as kids growing up, especially as girls, because you're constantly pitted against each other. So I remember clearly the conversation with my husband when I said, I want small groups. I want girls to be building each other up instead of, you know, oh, I hate her, or why did she get the lead? Like, because that's the base you have when you're talking about her.
Yeah.
You know, so it, like, trying to get them to understand. So like every couple of weeks when we're in class, I make them say something nice about each other. I make them sing for each other, say something nice about each other, and then give one constructive criticism of what you would like to see from them. And it's worked so nicely. They're great. And they're all great friends. There's no killings in my school. They don't fight. I've weeded out. And again, you know, I haven't had that many problems. And coronavirus has been great because I can't have too many people in the studio. So parents tend to drop their kids at the door and let them be and, you know, not tell them how to sing, which is, again, everybody feels they have an opinion when it comes to singing. They like to give that opinion.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I definitely had some parents sit on the class too.
I know. It's, and they mean well. It's just, I don't think parents truly especially if they don't sing themselves. I think it's different if they sing. And I often say that to the kids. I was like, oh, well, did you ask your mom or your dad to sing for you? Oh, no, they can't sing. Okay, then. And it's not, listen, I'm guilty of doing it with my kids too. We all do that because you know your kid really well, but you forget that your kid knows you really well. So if you make the slightest movement with your face, even if it's involuntary, the kid is like, what did I do wrong? Is it not good? Oh, you didn't think it was good. Now you're lying. And you can't win as a parent when it comes to singing. It's so personal. We're so insecure about it.
Yeah, it's like, here's my soul. Like, please like it.
Yeah, please. And then don't tell me you like it if you don't read it. But like, it's hard.
Yeah, but then nothing else is like singing at the same time.
No, it really isn't. And you nailed it there. It's your soul, and I think singers sometimes forget that it's a gift that you have. And if you want to keep that gift to yourself, it's great, but it's there to be shared. And I know lots of people have said to me, why haven't I done online shows and stuff? And it just, for me, this is purely, it sounds ridiculous, but for me, I want to see the people. I want to see the people in the audience because that's what makes me feel comfortable. I've great friends who do these great online shows, and I'm so jealous. But for me, the thoughts of me just singing into a camera, I can't. I'm not comfortable. I would look so awkward. Maybe I need to do one where I could zoom everybody in and have all these little faces and like scroll in on them.
Yeah, that's an idea, right? Like you get to actually see their reactions as opposed to just a light coming up on the screen.
Yeah, yes. I need people to smile at me so I go, oh, okay, I'm doing all right.
Now, since you've been in Celtic Women, you did release 2 singles, which are fabulous. So tell us how you met those composers, because they're quite different. Christmas Everywhere is, very fun, and the other one, Sending Home, oh my goodness, it's just such a tearjerker.
Such a beautiful song. Both the same writer, which is incredible. Yeah, so when I moved to Georgia, I had been asked by the local WSB TV, which is our local ABC channel, would I sing for the fireworks on July 4th. And I think I sang Oh America, and I sang another original song that Cheryl Rogers wrote. So she was in charge of all the music, and I just I met her, and like, it was just like, she's just such a Southern mama, and I just loved her, and her love of music was just infectious. Her dad had been a jazz pianist, and she knew everything. She knew everything. And while I think her roots might have been mainly in Christian music, she was just fabulous woman. So I met her, and then I decided I was going to do a concert. And because I loved her so much, I was like, please, will you do the music for it? I'd love to do this here in my town. We have a gorgeous amphitheater. So she agreed to do it. And then I think the next year she was like, I've written a Christmas song for you, which was Christmas Everywhere. Loved it. It was just such a thoughtful, kind of very me kind of song. And then the following year she's like, oh gosh, I wrote another one. I can just hear you sing it. So she wrote another song for me, and I love them both for very different reasons. My heart is totally with Sending Home to You because, again, I'm like an emotional singer anyway, so I can't watch any videos of service people coming home from anywhere. And it's my one cheer. I'm not a crying kind of person, but that just like that and dogs, I'm like, oh my God. So when I heard her sing it, she's a phenomenal vocalist. When I heard her sing it, I was like, oh gosh, I don't know if I'll ever be able to sing it as well as she does. So just kind of had to think about my own kids when I was singing it and approach it from that way as opposed to what I heard her do. Her version is even more beautiful. Her version is stunning. Stunning. So so I just became really good friends with her, and she's done all my concerts, and I'm in awe of her talent. She's just a phenomenal woman.
And what are you mentioned you kind of all your goals are fulfilled in a way, but when it comes to your school, what are some of the things you want to keep developing there?
That just keeps changing. Like it, obviously when I had to close for coronavirus.
Yeah.
And so it adapted to being online, which led me to do more online classes. So now, like, half my time's in the studio and half is online. And I have students in Japan, I have students in Denmark, I have students in England, I have students in Ireland. I just have students all over the world. And that's not something that I'd ever thought I would end up doing. And I think the world has become a much smaller place with everything being online, because you can, and it's very successful. It just depends where you live. I mean, my internet connection between here and Tokyo is so much better than here in Tennessee. So, like, how does that work? There's no time delay between me and the girls in Tokyo, which is incredible. So that has been great. I think within the studio itself, that a lot, nearly 60% of my clients I've had from day one, which is amazing. Unless they go off to college, they pretty much stay the course. And even when they go off to college, they end up coming back. So that's been great. For the first time ever, I have a full young men's class. Like, when I say young men's, like when we take the average age. Yeah. they're young. So balance out really well. They'll kill me. If they hear me say that, they'll kill me. So, but this term, I had a really a much older men's class for the longest time. And then between coronavirus and illness and stuff, my older men took a break this year. But I got this influx of 40-somethings and then three teenagers. Oh my goodness, like, we did go away to Graceland last week, which was a hiking song. Oh, they're just like, they're fabulous. So that's injected a new lease of life into me as well. And then because I get babies all the time, I get new little kids all the time, and they're so excited. And half of them know nothing about Celtic Woman. Like, they don't. I mean, they've even missed the Tinkerbell years that I did because they're older and movies change and stuff. They bring in something new all the time. So they constantly go, "Who's that girl on the wall?" I'm like, that's me. They're like, "No, that's not you." Yeah, no. Yeah, it is. So they've no clue. So it's so much fun, and you learn. Every student brings something different to you as a person. As I said, you have to adapt to the way they learn. So it's I don't ever not like going to work. There are days, obviously, I'm like, ugh. But I get there, and they're just, it's so rewarding. It's just so rewarding. And my dad was a teacher as well. So my dad never hated going to work. My dad loved his job. Mm-hmm. So I've always known it was important to love your job and to love the kids and have a relationship with them. So I just have loads of children now. It's great.
That must be good, because your children must be getting older also now. So
they are, yeah. I have an 18-year-old, a 16-year-old, nearly 13-year-old, and an 8-year-old. So yes, so now we're in the girlfriend and boyfriend phase. So, and we have an Irish dance school as well. So we have so many kids around us all the time. It's great. It's great. It's better than me having the 10 children I wanted myself. My husband's like, "No, there you go. There's all the kids you wanted." And I can send these ones home, so it's good.
That is a benefit, yeah. So it's been so amazing to chat with you. Before we end, I have to bring it back to, so you mentioned the dancing in Chicago. So your husband actually has a dance school, right? So do you dance now?
God, no, I don't dance. No, my husband's a phenomenal Irish dancer. My kids are great Irish dancers. I can move, but just so you know, I don't tell people this all that often, but this is how I ended up doing this for a living, was because I lied in an audition and said I could tap dance, and they made me do it. I knew I had the role. It was for Crazy for You in Dublin, and oh my God, it was such a great singing role. It was all Cole Porter, Gershon, or Cole Porter, one of you. Well, maybe Cole Gershon. It was all Gershon music, and I was so excited. And I loved the guy I was playing opposite, and I had to do this tap audition, which I seriously failed. But I kept in my head going, if I'm a good enough actor, I'll be able to fake this. So I got up, and the director came up to me afterwards and went, "Well, you didn't get the part because you can't dance." But he cast me in every single role after that. Had no dancing in it. So that's how I ended up doing this. So I'm very grateful for my dance skills.
I love that. It's been such a pleasure. Thank you so much, Lisa.
You too. Thank you for having me.
And everyone, please go check out, you do these online lessons now, so book a lesson with Lisa. And if you're in this neighborhood, Georgia, it's where you are, right?
I'm in Atlanta, yes, and just south of Atlanta, Georgia. And we have a website, the Lisa Kelly Voice Academy. Please check it out.
I really hope you enjoyed today's interview. It was absolutely one of those bucket list things for me, and Lisa was absolutely so wonderful. So check back. We'll continue to have new interviews. Next week, we actually have a different change of pace. We're going to have the wonderful Ellen Williams presenting a mini concert for us. We teased about that earlier during her interview, so it's so great to be able to share that with you. And we'll have more online concerts coming your way. Of course, March 28th is our classical crossover community collaboration concert. And then our own Sound of Crossover virtual series will kick off in May. And between then, we'll be filling it up with incredible interviews. So if you guys haven't already, please like, subscribe, ring that bell. And we hope that you will continue to enjoy, buy, and support all these amazing artists. Thank you so much, guys, and we'll see you next time.